I'm here with Antoine. He's the head of brand and communications at Ilek. Antoine, can you please describe your role and what you're currently doing?
Yes, nice to meet you, Stefan, and thank you for hosting me today. So I'm the head of brand and communication at Ilek. That means that I'm part of the marketing team, and I'm here basically to make people aware of what Ilek is doing, what Ilek is, and make it appealing for as much people as we can. So I work for the higher part of the funnel, basically, to build brand awareness for Ilek. And I'm responsible for media buying for this part of the funnel, for social network, the PR as well, influence marketing when we do some, and also all the things that are related to the brand, which is brand consistency, to make sure that we have one single voice throughout the whole journey for our prospect and customer, and to make sure that we have a strong voice and people feel that they are speaking to the same kind of people in every touch points they have with us.
Can you also describe what Elec is offering and who's kind of the target audience? Is it business to consumers or business to business?
Yes, of course. And so Ilek is an energy provider. We are targeting mainly consumers and we're getting started with small businesses. We are one of the few energy providers in France that work directly with the energy producers. So we have many labels such as Vervolt, which is a very French one that says that we are buying directly the energy to the producers. And we also are B Corp. So we are taking care of people, the planet, and our company is not only based on profit. And so we offer and we provide this energy to 160,000 clients today. We are aiming for 400 by the end of 2028.
Interesting. And how long have you been in this position working at Elec?
I've celebrated 1 year at Ilek last month, and prior to that, I've been head of brand at various positions, various startups. And before that, I worked for 10 years in advertising, 7 years and a half in a big one called BTC in France, and then an agency that I founded called Retrofutur. And so with Ilek, we are targeting people that think that there's no such thing as tiny gesture they can do every day to make our planet more sustainable. Those people are engaged and want to have an impact on what they consume on a daily basis. And buying energy from us and from other green energy suppliers can make a big difference because by just by subscribing to Ilek, you can reduce your carbon impact by more than half a ton a year per person. That's huge, thinking that we have to reduce our carbon footprint drastically by 2050 if we want to let the planet not get warmer more than 2 degrees. We have to reduce for French people, it's going from 10-ton CO2 equivalent to 2 tons. So just by spending 5 minutes clicking on our website, you can reduce by half a ton. So again, that's a huge deal.
Is this like the sustainability and environment? Is that like a personal drive for you? What made you apply for the position? What made you take this role?
Yeah, of course. I'm a father of 2 kids now and thinking of in the future how I can tell them what I've been doing to make things not going worse for the planet, for the environment they will grow in, with a big part of taking this role and applying for Ilek, because I had the feeling that I can make a difference and on a daily basis put all my efforts into the job for a business that wants to help and wants to put something on the table that will have a significant impact again on the environment we live in. Yes, that play a big role, and that's what we try to communicate through our campaigns when we want to convert people to Ilek and have them subscribe. It's giving them a sense that it's something that is bigger than us, and the matter is in front of us. We have to make things to keep our planet sustainable, or we will have to pay huge amounts of the things we didn't do by now.
I would also like to go back to where it started for you, like professionally and working with brands and communication and this. What inspired you to go in the first place?
It was right after business school. Had a chance to be accepted as an intern at BTC, and I had the chance to work for my first job on a really big campaign. It was for Evian water.
Mm-hmm.
It was the roller babies, if you remember it. So it was babies roller skating in a skate park. And well, I started with this. It was a huge project. I was really a tiny part among more than 30 people, something like this. It's a project that took 9 months, like the birth of a child, ironically. But really, that was this kind of feeling when the project was released. And so I discovered a professional world where it all starts with an idea, something just scratched on a notebook by two creatives. And then at some point it becomes a global phenomenon because we had a chance to be a Guinness World Record for this campaign. At that time, it was the most viewed on YouTube. We got something like 150 million views, which can sound like nothing today, but in 2009, it was really, really huge. And so, yes, so this sense of okay, we can write stories that can make people buy something that is like really common. It's a commodity, like energy today, but like water, and make people buy something bigger than this, more than this. It's not just the water they buy, but it's a lifestyle. It's a sense of belonging to a spirit. Or Evian, it's the live young approach. That made me curious, and starting from there, I had the chance to work on various brands, hospitality, so biscuits like Lou biscuits brands in France, and also to be part of a team that worked closely with startups within BTC. It was called the BTC Startup Lab. It was at a time where the startup scene was really boasting in France, and so we got in touch with many brands that grew a lot since then. So it was really exciting times for the first 5 years. And what guided me at this time was how can we answer this really simple question, which is what's the role of this brand, this service in people's life? It's a really simple question, but it's a tough one to answer most of the time. And it's how you put your service, your product in people's life, and you find a utility, something that people will really crave for at some point.
But what do you think, like, what is a brand? Like, and how, as a business, do you know you have a brand?
Well, to me, a brand it is a tool. It's not something nice you put to wrap around a service of our product. It's something that should be at the core of a company strategy, and should help you on a daily basis to decide whether you do this partnership or not, you will develop this function or feature or not. I see it really as a tool, and it's a tool for the company, but it's also a tool for the consumers because it should help them understand what you do, of course. And so it should be distinctive and it should be memorable so that at some point you have the mental availability in people's brains when they think about doing something, buying something, and then having something, I would say, a purpose, not in a way of having a big purpose in life, but really something that gives utility to end consumers. So again, to me, it should be a tool, or you don't have a brand.
Interesting. And we talked about like Ilek and sustainability, and how do you approach like your branding activities and strategies with a company like providing energy or working in this field so important in the sustainability parts?
That's the that's the hard part about Ilek and the energy category, because we are facing a category where we have 2 to 3 giants in France, but I guess in many European countries it's kind of structured the same way. So we have the historical energy providers who were once or still are a public company. So in France it's EDF and Engie, and we also have Total Energy, and they spend more than 100 million in advertising each year. They are part of the top 5 or top 10 advertisers in our country, and we are just a tiny bit of this. So you have to think about this when you're building your brand. The position on the category is driving the way you build the tool I was talking about just before that. So we have a very practical approach, meaning that we can claim everything we want if we use the same tool as the three giants and M4. And we also have players like us who are still bigger than us, namely Octopus Energy, for instance, who are based in many countries in Germany, in the UK as well. So if we use the same tools, then it's going to be just a train in the dark, something that people won't notice in any ways if I use TV advertising or even outdoor. So we have to be very clear in our proposition value, which is something we are working on, because it starts from there. And we question this like every 6 months. I mean, we have to be sure of what we are offering, and also on the kind of offers we can have, because the way Ilek is presenting itself didn't change since the inception of the company in 2016, but the whole market went in our direction. So everyone is claiming that they have green energy. We won't go into details right now, but you can claim that and not doing the work we do to source the energy in the same really clean way. So that's the problem of it, but that's my work to solve this. And so then we have to find ways to express what we do differently in a very simple way. And then as part of the medium we use, because that's the more interesting part, what we try to do is to be closer to the consumer intent to change its energy contract, or to open a new one if he or she moves to a new house, because that's namely the 75% of the market is when people are changing homes, moving homes. And so we are working on a medium that help us find the signals that we make us not 100% sure, but kind of closer to the intention of a changing the energy contract. So that's the difficulty we are facing, is how we can effectively spend our budget in a way that we are not doing advertising that is not seen, and so it's a complete waste of energy, time, and money, and also that we don't advertise for the whole category. So we have to, again, to make it distinctive and to find ways to do it closer to the intention, but not paying too much per being it a click or even a lead generation or even conversion, because at some point it's not sustainable. So that's the game we play nowadays.
And as like working with brands and communications, you mentioned like value proposition and that you also studied business, and it sounds very business to me. Like, what qualities you think you need today to work with branding or like brands?
I think it's a field where you can come from various backgrounds, but yes, first you have to understand business, because at some point it's, at the end of the day, it's what your management and the company will ask you. What is the return on investment? The difficulty is, how can we measure the impact of what we do? 50, maybe 60% of the time, you won't be able to measure it on a weekly, even monthly, even half a year basis. But it's not because you can't measure it precisely that you're not doing good, but on the contrary, you have now channels where you can measure on a daily basis the impact of what you're doing. So again, the sensibility to business is important. You have to be curious, because you have to be able to gather information from the competition, of course, to what it's and the new tools that we have in it's evolving on even maybe on a weekly basis in terms of tools that we have to advertise or to gain attention on our brands. And so it's really important to be up to date on everything like this, and to also be really analytical, because you have a lot of data now to analyze and like put aside the noise and focus on what gives you the precise impact of what you're doing to take better decisions. Of course, at the end, to be creative. And to me, that's not something that people have or don't have. It's something that you have to work to be creative. It's like a training for running. So that's why people in agency are really good at it, because they are doing it on a daily basis on many, many subjects and for many, many years. So they are better at this because, they train a lot. And for this also, you need this kind of a conversation at some point. You need, I think, this kind of a meiotic approach to discuss with people outside of your business, so that you can bring new ideas to the table. And so it's important to be curious in that way as well, so that you watch movies or you see advertising for other categories, everything that can lead to new ideas and new ways of telling each day the same story about your brand.
Can you explain like the team structure you're working with now? Do you have like in-house, and also do you also work with agencies now?
Yes, we have an in-house team that can produce the content we need on a daily basis. And for some activation, for some assets that we need for advertising campaigns, when we need a broader scale of production, then we work with the agencies. Also, when we need to reflect on our value proposition or what we offer, we also need this kind of help. Again, because they help you cut through everything that is only noise and help you focus on what will make you really different on your category. So we work with this kind of agencies sometimes. And when we need to deal with the media plans, I work also with the media agencies, because most of the time they have a better deal. And also they help you set up the whole campaign when you need to activate really different channels. It's really helpful to rely on an expert from one typical media, and to us, it's been very efficient.
And as a leader, what are you looking for when you're creating your team and also selecting like partners? What qualities is important for you?
What's really important to me is first the ability to learn, because what was true when I started advertising and marketing 15 years ago is not really true today. Well, the fundamental are, but the whole tools we use have changed, and the way people consume media, where we can advertise, changed. So you have to be able to manage a very changing environment. And I think that can be true for many industries. What I look for is people who can defend their opinion, because at some point you won't have like all the answers or all the data that will sustain what you're 100% what you're stating. And so that you have to be able to defend your point of view and articulate it in a convincing way, so that you can embark people with you. Then I would say creativity, but it's something that it's really hard to judge just on the base of the same for agencies we work for, because it's not because they have been really good with a campaign that they will be good in the future. So it's more what I ask is like, what are the questions you can ask about our business? What makes you wonder why we do this and this? So the way they can challenge you on what you're doing is something that I find really more interesting than just, okay, we've done this in the past, because it will say nothing about the future collaboration. So in a few words, that's what I'm looking at.
Yeah, interesting. And as we talked about before we started recording, you have work fully remotely. And how do you kind of manage teams and like talking to people? What are the benefits, like pros and cons with this?
What's really good for Ilek, for a company based in the southwest of France, in Toulouse, is that you can attract people from all over France, so that your talent pool is much, much larger. And so that's something that is really interesting for us, and that led the growth of the company. And because you can offer people who are keen to work remotely to live exactly what they want to live. It's something that some people can value a lot. And so you gain then fidelity and people are staying longer at the company. On a day-to-day basis for the work, it implies that you have a strong written culture. You have to write everything. All the decisions have to be made based on documents, things you write. Orality is just good for asking questions and making projects go ahead. But then again, you have to have a backlog of everything you're doing. What we lack, of course, is the serendipity of exchange you can have in the office. You just bump into someone and you say, oh, by the way, I've seen this and this, and it makes me think that you can do this with this. We don't have this. So in a way, we have to find new ways of provoking those kind of exchange. So I have to make sure in my team that we discuss a lot, that people within the team discuss between each other, because if you don't do it like a video meeting, then it won't happen. We also have, of course, quarterly meetings where we gather all the team together so that we foster this feeling of belonging to the same team, and that we work on workshops where we can benefit from everyone being at the same time at the same place. And so the cons will be this. I mean, as an individual, I really like the talking to people and exchanging with them. So I'm lacking a bit of those daily interactions, I would say. But I gain so much in my life quality overall and work-life balance. I don't waste time in transportation and so on. So to me, it's the balance is much more on the pro side, but again, it's really personal, and I mean, it's not meant for everyone.
Yeah, I feel like this is also a global trend. When I talk to people that are hiring, is a lot of talented people want more independence, maybe, like and be able to work from where they are, and also like if you if you've been doing like 1 hour to work or like 30 minutes transport both ways, you lose a lot of time. And also when you have kids and you have like a family that needs you at home, it's definitely a lot of pros to it.
Yes, and one more thing is, when you have this kind of organization, that means, and to me, it should be the base of every management. But with a remote organization, it's at the core of it. You have to give. I will do it again. Confidence, like. If I want to say that, you have to give people first your confidence in what they are doing. Is that understandable? So yes, to me, what is really important when you work remotely, and that makes it at the core of our principle at Ilek, is that you have to give confidence to people first. And this is something that is really important to me, because then you have really genuine relationships with the people you manage and people you interact with, because the first thing you say, it's okay, it's not because I don't see you working that I imply that you are not working. I'm sure you're doing your work very well. And I think that changed everything in the first relations we have with people within the company.
I would also like to talk about like what inspires you to work in this branding communications field.
I'm trying to look at various things. I'm reading a lot of research about marketing and brand building. I'm looking more closely at work from Byron Sharp, from the Ehrenberg Bass Institute, Les Binet as well. Work a lot with him. Also Mark Ritson. There are the people who are thinking about the way we are doing our work in a very interesting way, because they are gathering metadata and helps you, like, within everything that is new tools, new media. If you look at the press, we should like all be in the metaverse today. Well, it was true in 2020, and now looking back at it, you can say, okay, we would have made a huge mistake if we would have gone that way. So those kind of people helps me keep everything cool and say, okay, there are some rules that have been true for the past 60 years, looking at very solid data. And okay, there is some noise, there is some new tools, but this is the hype, and this is not where we should go right now, or at least we can wait a bit. So that inspires me a lot, and that helps me, I think, or I try, take good decisions about how we spend our money. Then, of course, I'm looking a lot at what the competition is doing. Luckily enough, in France, the three big players are doing a lot. So there's a lot to analyze, a lot of advertising in many, many ways, because the energy utility market is can like target everyone in a country. So they are using as many channels as they can. And really on a daily basis, you can see them like 6 to 10 times a day. So that's a huge thing for me as inspiration. And also I'm looking at really brands from all categories, just looking at ways of telling stories today, also of using media. Because when I started, it was, okay, you start your campaign on the web 1 week prior to the big launch, which was on TV and outdoor, which is today, you won't do it that way. Influencer marketing is really interesting for that, in the way that they challenge the kind of importance of media. So in France, we see the rise of YouTube very strongly. The TV is still strong, but not live TV. It's more like catch-up TV. So yeah, it challenges a lot the way we are building our strategy, and so that's what I'm looking at and what inspires me.
And what advice do you have for people starting out in the industry today?
I would say the more important when you start is to find a company where your first boss will be someone who will be for you and will be a mentor for you, someone who will have really the time and the will to help you grow. Because for the first 5 years, maybe 10 years of your career, it's more about observing, learning from others, and trying new things, but not being in full responsibility before you can like build your own strategy and defend your point of view. So yeah, to me, that would be the first advice, like to find a place where you can learn and you have someone who is really eager to like, give everything he's learned so far.
I think that's a great advice. Think about who you work for. It's going to shape your whole start of your career, at least who you learn from, what opportunities you get. And we're actually going towards the end. This went pretty fast. We could probably have talked for way longer, but do you have anything you'd like to add?
What I would like to add is, again, to me, if there's something to remember from this exchange we have, this conversation we have today, is that, again, for those who are watching this and who are considering investing in a brand, again, see it not as a space where you lost money. It's not a matter of cost, but again, see it as a tool. Once you find a way of describing what you do and like packaging it all in a brand, and it helps you decide on a daily basis, of should I do this campaign or not? Should we launch this offer or not? Should we partner with this company or not? Then you can be sure that you have brand, you have something at least that is useful for you. So to me, that's really the start. And then you can grow and invest in more channels. But if you're not sure, 100% sure of that, keep asking questions and keep digging so that you can find the ways of encapsulating your product or your service in something that is meaningful.
Thank you. I think that's a great way to summarize this conversation. Thank you again. And it was a pleasure to talk to you and all your insights.
Likewise.
Thank you. Thank you.